Hi, everybody. Today I'm going to go over the basic controls for victims in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. This video is a bit long, but go into the comment section and I'm going to have timestamps for each section so that you can skip immediately to the part of the video that you want to watch. I did post a video for family specifically on my channel. You can go check that out too. But again, please go see the comments for specific section timestamps that you can jump to right away. Otherwise, have fun and enjoy the video. Real quick before you even go into a game, there's two settings I would suggest changing. This is your voice chat settings and also your sensitivity settings. The voice chat settings can be found under the audio tab. I like to have mine on push to talk. This means that whenever I hold down on the D-pad during a game, the input that I say into the mic will be heard by my teammates. Otherwise, if my finger is off the D-pad, they won't hear what I'm saying even if I'm talking. I find this is easy because I don't always feel like talking in a game, but sometimes I'm either chatting with friends or just talking to myself when I'm playing, and I can chime in when I need to in the game chat to communicate with my teammates. Communication is key in this game. So again, you can go down to your microphone settings and switch it between on, off, or push to talk, and then press X or square on the PS5 controller to apply this setting. One other setting that I would change is your sensitivity settings. Personally, I suggest going to 100 for controller. This would be both for your X and Y sensitivities, the X being looking horizontally and the Y being up and down sensitivity. Again, it may seem really high at first, but it really is not that high once you get used to it, especially in comparison to other games. You know, if you play FPS games, the 100 sensitivity on this game is really not that high. This also allows you to check over your shoulder and around corners easier when you're playing as a victim and trying to watch out and escape from the family. To get started, I'll show you how to crouch. So you're going to press B on the Xbox controller or circle if you're on the PS5 controller. When you're crouched, you can go at a couple different speeds. You can go to very slow speed, a normal crouching speed, or a faster crouching speed if you hold the left bumper on your controller. So that would be LB for Xbox or L1 for the PS5 controller. So if you're holding the left bumper and crouching, you can be heard by Cook, so be careful of that. Crouching does not consume any stamina. You can run at a couple of different speeds while you're standing. So this is a standard jog here. This does not consume stamina. If you want to go a little bit slower and walk, you can also just move the joystick slightly less to adjust your jogging speed. If you hold LB while you're jogging, you can do a slightly increased speed. This will take up some of your stamina, but it will drain very slowly. You can see in the bottom right corner. To sprint, you'll press A or X on your PS5 controller. This will give you a burst of speed. If you keep pressing A and X, it will continue your sprint. If you only press it once, it'll just give you a short burst, and you'll see the stamina depleting in the bottom right corner. During a chase, you want to be running the entire time until you can get to a gap, probably. But as you get better at the game, you'll start to learn how to manage your stamina better. Once you run out of your sprint stamina, you'll have to wait for it to recharge, as you can see in the bottom right corner, before you can start sprinting again. This speed at which the stamina regenerates and at which stamina is spent when sprinting is based on your endurance value as a victim. So if you have a higher endurance value, you will regenerate your stamina quicker and you will spend less when sprinting. Just try some different endurance values to see what feels the best for you and your play style. As you get better at the game, you'll learn to manage your stamina more, and you might not have to pour as many points into endurance. It's really up to you how you want to play.
Quiet.
Pressing down on the right stick can also change your angle of view. You'll see if you click the right stick, it'll shift over a little bit, and then it'll go back to normal if you press it again. Some people like to play on this side permanently. You can leave it here as long as you want. This can also help you check corners really easily. So for example, if I'm crouched around a corner here and I want to look around the corner before I go there, I can click the right stick and that'll help me check the corner. Then I can click it again just to go back to my normal view. This is a really helpful tool, especially if you're trying to avoid the family. To open doors as victims, it's X or square. If you go through them slowly, they'll open quietly. Again, if you're running, you can open them quickly and use this mechanic to door slam family members to stun them. Be careful because you can also be stunned by slammed doors. Slamming doors also makes noise that follows you for a split second. You can see right there. If you're ever running from a family member, you can always shut a door behind you and latch it to buy yourself a little bit of time and slow down their progress during the chase. You can do this by shutting the door and then holding the A button if you're on the Xbox controller or the X button if you're on the PS5 controller to latch the door. Close the door, latch it. If you stumble upon a latched door that you need to barge in as a victim, you can go up to it and press the X button. This would be the square button on the PS5 controller. The speed at which you can barge the door open is determined by your strength value as a victim. Virginia doesn't have that high of a strength value, so she's taking a little bit longer. If you're somebody like Leland, you will be able to barge it much quicker. I'm going to do a quick explanation of the noise mechanics in the game. When you're playing as a victim, making noise will reveal your location to the family. You make noise when you walk through bone charms like this, or if you pick up an item too quickly, for example, a bone scrap. You'll see again the sound wave appears around my body and the bone scrap pile. It also follows your location briefly. This also happens with the bone charms. The family members can see this red sound wave around your body anywhere on the map. So if you're far away and you make a noise in an area where the family didn't know you were, that's how they can be alerted to your location. This does disappear after a few seconds, but if you want to do things quietly, that will help hide you from the family members. For example, crouching through bone charms, or when you go to collect an item, pay attention to the left bar, the little white bar that fills up when pressing the X button or square button on the PS5 controller. If you don't press it too quickly when collecting items, you won't get to the top of the noise meter. You'll notice that if I press it quickly and fill up that white meter on the left, that begins to make noise. You can also hold down the X or square button to collect items to do it quietly. Your proficiency and stealth values play into how many button taps you can press quickly before you begin to make noise. Again, if you press the X or square button quickly and fill up that left noise meter, that's when you will begin to make noise. You need to find a balance between pressing it quickly to collect the item quietly. Right there, I'm almost at the top of that noise meter, but I'm not quite there, so I do collect the item quickly and quietly, and I can be on my way without notifying the family of my location. One exception I would say where you shouldn't really worry about making noise or not is when you're first getting off the ropes at the beginning of the game. When the game first released, this was more important to be quiet when getting off the ropes, but now I would highly suggest just smashing that X or square button as much as possible to get off the ropes as quickly as possible to get working on lockpicks or bone scrap piles, anything. Other than that, it really is also up to you whether or not you want to make noise when doing something. If you're trying to be quick and rush and you need to slam doors, if you're running from somebody and you need to slam doors open, it is really important that you get away from them more than being quiet sometimes, so that's totally okay to make noise. It's not always bad to make noise. It's just good to be aware of the effect that making noise has on the gameplay. So just be aware, if you are making noise, the family members can see the location of that, and it will follow your direction for a brief period of time, possibly hinting to the family where you may have gone if you have avoided them. When a game starts, Grandpa will be asleep. This means that the only family member that can be in the basement is Leatherface. He always spawns in the basement with victims when he is in a match. The other family members cannot come downstairs into the basement until Grandpa is awake. Grandpa can be woken up several ways. First, by victims generating enough noise for Grandpa to wake up. So be careful how much you slam doors, run through bone charms, and collect items at the beginning of a game. This can contribute to that threshold set. I don't know the exact number of noise needed to be generated, but you'll get a feel for it as you play a bunch of matches. You'll notice how quickly he wakes up based on the amount of noise that victims are making. Opening an unlocked door in the basement will wake Grandpa up at the beginning of a game. You can go through the unlock animation and not open the door if you don't want to wake Grandpa up yet. Here, I'm going to complete this door unlock and not open the door. That way, I can go back and open more doors in the basement before having Grandpa wake up. This gives teams more time to prepare against the family members upstairs before Grandpa wakes up. The second way that Grandpa can be woken up is by Leatherface getting a kill in the basement. If he gets a kill, once the execution animation finishes, Grandpa will be woken up, and the game continues that way. The last way that Grandpa can be woken up is by the family members feeding him 100 blood, which gets him to level 1. That will wake Grandpa up as well. When Grandpa does wake up, he'll shout, and during that shout duration, the game will warn you to be still. If you do not stay still during the shout animation, you will notice that your location is revealed to the entire family. I'll give an example here. The family can see this outline anywhere on the map. If I stand still, that will disappear. I have to wait until the shout is over to not be detected when moving again. Once Grandpa is up, the other family members can come into the basement. So it's very important that you decide at the beginning of a game if you want to be quiet until you get a basement door unlocked, or if you want to be loud and just risk having the other family members come into the basement. I've seen success both ways. Again, it's something you want to talk about with your team, or just making a decision for yourself when starting up a game. A few other notes: when you're running around as a victim, you can use gaps and crawl spaces to run away from family members. Here's an example of a crawl space. And here's an example of a gap. You can press the X button or square button on PS5 controller to get through these crawl spaces and gaps. Some crawl spaces start off closed. You can press the button really quickly to open it. Here's an example of opening one quietly. Again, this follows the rules of the noise generation that I talked about earlier in the tutorial. Barricades are also a great way to escape the family when running. They look like this. Only Bones can go over barricades if he has a certain perk equipped. Otherwise, family members cannot chase you over barricades. Certain family members can break down barricades like Leatherface and Hands. Again, this does require a special perk for Hands too. So in most cases, barricades are very safe to escape from family members. Just be careful. Sometimes they set traps on the other side of the barricade. You don't want to get caught in one of those. Every victim has a special ability they can use. This can be activated by pressing RB or R1 on your controller, depending whether you're on Xbox or PS5. For Virginia, she throws a powder cloud that can blind family members and also deplete their stamina or their blood stores, depending on which path you have selected in the skill tree. Here's an example. Pressing that right bumper, you'll see the cloud appears, and she gets 2 per poison pack that she picks up. When using this ability, people will refer to it as ulting because it's their ultimate ability. So if you hear somebody talking about ulting or using an ult, that is just short for ultimate ability. Again, they'll refer to it as ulting, saying, oh, Connie ulted the gate, because Connie's special ability is to instantly unlock a gate. So when someone says Connie ulted that gate, that means she instantly unlocked it using her ultimate ability. Or if Anna ulted, meaning she activated her damage reduction ability. So that means she doesn't have that ability anymore, or she just used it. This is important because these abilities take time to regenerate for certain characters, and knowing when to use them is very important to escaping as victims. Now to go through basic item usage. Bone scraps can be found in bone piles around the map. There are 3 bone scraps per pile, so be careful if you grab 3 right away. They do not refill, and that pile will be marked as empty. There are many piles around the map, so I wouldn't be worried about using all of them. Bone scraps can be used to cut down bone charms. You walk up to a bone charm hanging, and you can hold the X button or the square button to cut down the bone charm. This does not consume the bone scrap. You will still have it in your inventory in the bottom right corner. Bone scraps can also be used to disable hitchhiker traps and hands traps. Once you use a bone scrap on a hitchhiker trap or hands trap, it will be used from your inventory, and you will have to go find another one to pick up afterwards. Just be aware of that. Bone scraps can also be used to initiate grapples with family members. I'll do a grapple tutorial in a different video. Basically, this is the fighting mechanic where you can fight family members to stun them for a short duration of time. If you're behind a family member and you press the right trigger on your PS5 or Xbox controller, you can initiate a sneak attack on the family member, which stuns them for a certain period of time. And for everybody's favorite, bone scraps can also be used to stab Grandpa. Stabbing Grandpa puts him to sleep and also reduces his Grandpa sonar level by 1. When you get near Grandpa, you have to press the right trigger, and you'll see there is an animation to stab him. You can also stab Grandpa from behind. Depending on the map and his seating location, sometimes the prompt can be hard to get to appear. Unlock tools can be found in these blue lock boxes around every map, in every area of every map. Sometimes this means you have to look around to find where they are spawning in that certain game. Again, this can vary in every match. To collect an unlock tool, you need to open the lockbox. And again, the noise meter rules apply here as described earlier in the video.
This will help.
The primary use of unlock tools is to unlock doors. Once you have an unlock tool, you can run up to the door to unlock it. Unlock tools can be used to trap lamps. If you go up to a lamp with an unlock tool in your inventory, you hold A to trap the lamp. This will turn it off, and when the family member goes to turn on the lamp, it will stun them for a few seconds, and the lamp cannot be turned back on afterwards. Unlock tools are also needed to open fuse boxes. The spawn points for the lock boxes are static, so they will always appear in these same spots, but this specific lockbox may not spawn in every match. You can collect up to 2 items in your inventory at a time. You can swap between the items in your inventory by using the directional D-pad left and right on controller. You'll see them swapped between the medication and the unlock tool. If you already have 2 items in your inventory and you need to swap one out, most times you can just go and swap it out with the item you want to pick up. For example, here's a health bottle. You go to swap it, and you see the unlock tool swaps into the place where you got the health bottle from. There are some cases where you go to swap an item and you will banish it into the void. This case is where you're holding a medication in your inventory. If you go to pick up an unlock tool, it will get rid of your medication. It will not just drop it on the floor. So be very careful of this. I'll show you right now. If I go to collect an unlock tool while my medication that is in my inventory is selected, it will disappear.
This might work on that door.
Unfortunately, this is a bug that Gun has not fixed. To unlock a door, you'll run up to the door and press X on Xbox controller or square on the PS5 controller. Then you will need to use the left joystick to rotate the lockpick until you get it into the green zone. The green zone is where you can start pressing X. When you press X, you will see the yellow bar starts to fill to give progress to unlocking the door. There's 3 different sections to unlocking the door. The green zone will change for each section. You'll see for the middle section, it's straight up at 12 o'clock. And for the final section, it is to the left at 9 o'clock. The noise meter also applies to unlocking doors, as shown earlier in the video. If you are unlocking a door and you have to bail on the lock progress, you will see that it resets for each section. So for example, if I bail in the middle of section 1, it will reset to the beginning. If I complete section 1 and then start section 2 but have to run away because a family member is coming, I can come back later and section 1 will still be completed. If you make too much noise when unlocking a door, you'll see the noise meter fills up and the lockpick will break and notify you your tool has broken. You'll have to go back and pick up another lock tool from the lockbox to continue your progress. Your proficiency value will affect how many taps are needed to complete each section of the lockpicking progress. If you have a high proficiency value of 50, this will be much faster than a low proficiency value of something like 30 or lower. Again, this is completely up to you when you build your character to decide how much proficiency you want to use. If you want to be unlocking a lot of doors, be sure to have a high proficiency value so you can do it quickly. Jump out a window, you need to run at it and press the X button or square button on the PS5 controller. This will take a lot of damage on your characters. You can see in the bottom right corner. So be sure not to do this when you are very low on health, or else you will incap, in which case you will have a one-time chance to recover. And when you recover, you will get back up and have a depleted amount of health, which you'll have to find a health bottle for. Here's a quick example of incapping. This is short for incapacitated. You'll see your health is low, and the recovery bar is loading. During this time, you can't do anything, and if a family member finds you, they can execute you, so you do not want to be near a family member when you incap. You will get back up, and now you have about a quarter of your health left. You really need to find a health at this point to heal yourself. If you die again after incapping, you will die permanently. So the incap is kind of just a last chance effort to get up to escape. To use a health bottle, you just need to hold the triangle button on your PS5 controller or Y on the Xbox controller. The larger health bottles are worth more healing than the smaller ones, but all are helpful. You can also heal other victims that need healing. To do this, you need to walk up to another victim, and when you're right next to them, it'll show you the prompt button to heal them with your health bottle. This will consume the health bottle, and this will also not heal you. There are certain cases where you can have special perks that will allow you to heal yourself while also healing another victim. Victims can also turn lamps on and off. This can be used to your advantage to hide from family members in many cases. When you're hiding in the shadows, it makes it harder for them to see you. You can also turn it on if you just need better visibility or want the family members to think you're in an area if you know that lamp was turned off before. The last basic controls I'll go over are wells and hiding spots. There are coolers and closets that you can hide in as victims. Press the X button or square button to get into a hiding spot, and you can stay in there and look around with the right stick, and you can slightly move left and right with the left stick. You can use this to hide from family members. They can search these spots. If they find you, they'll pull you out, and then you have to run. You'll also take a small amount of damage for being found. One of the most important mechanics in the game is using the well. This allows you to escape from family members when they are chasing you. Only one family member can chase you down wells, and that is only if they have a certain perk equipped. So wells are a great way to escape from the family when being chased around upstairs. To climb into a well, press X or square. Wells spawn in the same exact spot every single game on every single map. You can always look to the same spots to run to wells. Again, these are a great way to escape and reset your progress in the basement. Kind of give yourself a breather for a sec to re-strategize how to escape from the family. You do take damage when going down wells. This is not a significant amount of damage, but the family can activate perks that will force you to take more damage when going down the well. So be careful of your health value if you are close to dying. If you go down a well and you lose all your health, you will either incap if you have not incapped yet, or you will just die if you have already incapped. And that's about it for basic victim controls. If you watched this entire video, thank you so much. I will be releasing further tutorials on what to actually do in games as both victim and family, and more game strat videos on a larger scale, just theoretically thinking about how to monitor your progress in the game, and other strategies on the best ways to escape, the fastest ways to escape, certain fun perk builds, that sort of thing. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to subscribe and check out more videos on my channel for Texas Chainsaw. Thanks so much.